What's going on, guys? My name is Rob Winters and this is Sheared Beaver Outdoors, where the only thing we take serious is Canadian product. Today we're going to be rocking out the first ever EDC ice fishing sled dump. It's going to be a great way for you guys if you're trying to get into ice fishing to see what kind of gear you're going to need to start off with. And for me, it's going to be a way to go through my gear and see how much of it is actually Canadian. I'm really trying to change my behaviors with spending and where I'm using my money and try to put more of my money back into the Canadian economy. So, without wasting any more of your time, let's get into it, bud. Oh, fuck that. It's too cold out here. We're going to go ahead and get the sled dumped out, and then we're going to go through everything, and I'll let you know what's Canadian and what's not. Okay guys, we're going to go through everything, starting off with the Canadian stuff first. This bad boy right here is a Pelican Trek 75. I didn't even know it at the time when I'd purchased it, but Pelican is a Canadian brand out of Quebec. They also produce some kayaks and paddle boards. Pelican looks like a super great company. I can tell from the construction of this sled. This thing looks super durable. It also came with these Hyfax runners already pre-installed on it, which with a lot of sleds you have to pay for that stuff extra. So that's a huge added bonus, and it adds durability, as well as it's a little bit easier to pull it over top of pavement and concrete and stuff like that, and you're not damaging as much of the actual sled, and these things can be replaced. So huge shout out to Pelican. If you guys are in the market for a sled, go and check these guys out. I picked this one up for about 189 bucks at Canadian Tire on sale, and yeah, I'm super happy with it. It's a bit on the big side, but I wanted this so that when I do my overnight trips, I don't have to worry about carrying multiple sleds with me. I can just load everything up into this bad boy and hit the road. Another Canadian product that I have here is a Canadian Tire fish ruler. These things are super handy to have with you. You can also use a tape measure or just anything to measure the length with, but I really like these because they have the little stopper on the end. You just butt the nose of the fish up to it, lay it out flat and pinch the tail, and you get an accurate measurement in both centimeters and inches on this one. I really like these ones as well too because they keep the fish out of the snow and ice, and it's more chance for a lively release. Another thing that I have that I found out that is Canadian recently, the old Len Thompson 5 of Diamonds. I'm sure if you've been fishing for any amount of time, you've seen these before. They work great for the summertime. They also work great in the winter, and they work on almost every species. So definitely a big shout out to Len Thompson. It's not only a Canadian brand, it's an Alberta family-owned brand. So couldn't be more appreciative of these guys. I always just went out and bought whatever cheap bulk package of spoons I could find. But from now on, Len Thompson only, baby. Another item that I found out is Canadian through my research is this Rona pail. Surprisingly, this pail I picked up from Rona. I can't remember the price. You can get them really cheap. I think they're about $5. And this thing, I looked on the bottom of it, and it is made in Canada, so that's awesome. These are great to have with you when you're out ice fishing, so you can keep all of your electronics and stuff you don't want getting wet in there, as well as any small parts, and it's just nice to organize everything into a pail. The last thing I got that I use for ice fishing that I know is Canadian 100%, Co-op propane, baby. Woo! So next I'm going to get into some products that are not Canadian, but I do take with me ice fishing. A lot of this stuff I don't think I'm going to be able to get it Canadian made, but if I'm wrong, let me know down in the comment section below. And first up is the Ion X. This thing is awesome. I picked it up a couple of months ago. I've had it out about 3 times now. Absolutely love it. It's got a 40-volt motor on it, a 5-amp-hour battery, and this thing just cuts through ice like it's butter. I'll definitely do a review on this thing in the future, but if you guys are looking for an electric ice auger, definitely go and check one of these guys out. All right, let's talk about fishing rods. What I'm currently using for a fishing rod is a Cabela Special whooping stick. This came as a rod and reel combo for about 20 bucks. I bought 4 of them at the same time last year, so I didn't want to go crazy. And this is something that I will be able to for sure get Canadian made, and I'll be looking at ordering some of them up shortly here. I've been talking to a guy in Ontario that makes them in his basement there, so that's awesome, and I'll definitely be picking those up soon. This is my rod storage bag. I just use this to keep my fishing rods in. Even though they're kind of cheap, it's nice to have something to keep your rods safe in, especially when you're just going to throw it into the sled there and they get banged around and everything. So this is one I picked up from Cabela's, just a cheap one. I'm sure it's made in China somewhere. I'm not really sure exactly where it's made, but maybe I could pick up something Canadian made this year. That would be great. I also carry a small tackle box with me. This is just a cheap Plano tackle box. This thing is made in the USA, which is great. I guess that's the second best option if something's made in the USA. It's nice to just have a small tackle box to keep all your gear in. And I also have a bigger one that I use in the summertime for fishing on the boat. As far as an ice skimmer, I'm using this deep freeze fishing ice skimmer. These things are kind of gimmicky, but they really work well actually. I was pretty surprised with how well it works. Not a Canadian product. I believe these guys are out of Wisconsin, but made in America, so almost just as good. The only downside to these guys is that you need to match this up to your auger hole size. So I have an 8-inch auger. This is an 8-inch scooper, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it, but I might look at picking up something Canadian made here. Another often overlooked item when you're out ice fishing is having a shovel with you. These things are super clutch to have with you for cleaning the snow and ice around your hole, as well as for shoveling snow up on the flaps around your collapsible ice shack, which really helps to seal in the heat and keep the wind out. These things are pretty reasonably cheap. This one is not Canadian. This one was made in America. It's a Volley. I picked this up back when I was sledding, and it works pretty good. Collapsed down to a pretty compact size. So yeah, definitely something you should look at if you don't have that in your ice fishing sled. A cheap lawn chair is something that's always nice to have along with you too. Something to sit on that's comfortable and half decent, a little bit more comfortable than sitting on a pail anyways. You can get the ice fishing ones, but you know what I mean, for 15 bucks I think I picked this thing up at Canadian Tire and it does the trick. So a couple of the things that I have with me in the pail, these are just cheap tip-ups that I bought off of Amazon, definitely from China. They're cheap, but they do the trick, and they also fold up really nice as well and fit into the pail perfectly. I bought 4 of these so each one of the family members can have this. Each one of the family members that can fish can have this set up while they're jigging as well. Cheap Chinese shit. This is a sweet little light. It's a light that I picked up off of Amazon. It's got a bunch of different settings on it. Rechargeable. You can also use it as a power bank as well. But most importantly, it had this clip on the bottom, so I could just hook it up to the top, the ceiling on my ice shack, and puts out quite a bit of light. So that's pretty decent. It is made in China, bought off of Amazon though, unfortunately. I have this little fan, also bought off of Amazon from China, I'm sure. I forget where I was reading it. I read it on a forum somewhere. They were talking about I was having frost buildup issues inside of the shelter, and they said if you get a little fan in there to circulate the air and specifically push the air down, that it eliminates that problem. And I found this works really well. It also has a little LED light ring inside of there, so it works as a second light. And a bonus is it runs off of 18650 batteries, which I have anyways, so just pop those in there and you're good to go. A couple more things. I keep my ion battery in there. Rapala ice picks in case you're out on low ice conditions and you fall through. That way you have a way to get yourself out of there. Those are just cheap Rapala ones. I'm sure they're made in China. I also keep my ion auger extension in there, as well as the Allen key that goes with it. And then this sweet little camera tripod that I made. I had an old music stand kicking around that I wasn't using. I don't play music, so I was looking at it and I was like, what could I do with that? And I needed a tripod for my underwater camera. So I just chopped the top off of this. I jammed it into the bottom and bolted on this Mastercraft clamp here. And the clamp has actually got a little hole cut at the bottom of it, cut through the grip, sorry. And the cable slides in there perfectly, so you're not crushing the cable of the camera, but it's enough to hold it anyways. And this thing just folds up, nice and compact, and fits in the pail. So pretty sweet. I love taking shit that I'm not using and turning it into shit that I can use. It's probably one of my favorite things to do. As far as ice shacks, I'm currently using this Cabela's 6x12 insulated hub shelter. I absolutely love this thing. I picked it up last year for around $300, I believe. And it's quick and easy to set up, and it works down into -20, I would say, with a single Big Buddy heater. We had it out at about -40 with the single Big Buddy, and it just wasn't keeping up. It wasn't enough to keep it warm in there. We were getting major frost buildup issues. So, but yeah, up until -20, it's really good shelter. It's plenty big enough for the whole family to fit inside of there and be comfortable for a day out on the ice. And that's the most important thing, is keeping your family comfortable so that you can fish longer. Some of the things I'd like to see if I do purchase a new shelter is definitely a step-through door, a clear walk-through door, because the doors on this thing are a pain in the ass to climb in and out of. It would also be nice if this thing had a bit more storage in it. There's not much inside of there, and the nets that come along with it are kind of a pain in the ass to drag out with you. One bonus of the tent is that it comes with enough ice cleats so that you can actually secure every single line and every hole on the shelter, which I've seen some reviews of more high-priced shelters out there on the market, and it doesn't look like they do that. So kind of shitty. You think that the higher-priced stuff you would be coming with all the things that you need. This shelter is manufactured, as far as I can tell, by Clam down in Wisconsin, I believe, Wisconsin, USA. So it's not a Canadian product, and it was purchased at a Cabela store, so also not purchased at a Canadian store. Let me know if you guys know of any shelters that are Canadian products. I'd love to pick one up. I haven't seen anything out there. Same as ice augers. I think that's something I'm not going to be able to find, and propane heaters as well. So let me know down in the comments section if I'm missing anything. Another thing that I found recently that is absolutely amazing. I can't say enough about this product. Unfortunately, purchased from Amazon. I couldn't find anything of this thickness in store. This is a 3/4 inch thickness foam interlocking exercise mat. I picked up enough of these to cover the full bottom of my shack, just because when I'm out there doing overnight camping and stuff, I want to be able to take my boots off and walk around and be comfortable. And when my son and I went out a couple of weeks ago, these were absolutely key. We had our shoes off, we were walking around in our socks, and our feet were nice and toasty. I would say if you're going to be spending any time in a certain location in a shack, definitely invest in some of these. Even if you pick up 4 or something like that, you know, just enough to get your feet up off of the ice, it makes a huge difference. And it also keeps down the moisture in the shack as well, because you're not melting as much of the surface snow and ice with your heater running. So yeah, definitely check these out. I forget where I seen them. I think it was on a Facebook blog somewhere. And now that I'm watching, a lot of the YouTube guys are starting to grab these and put them in their shacks, and they're absolutely key. They're super lightweight, very durable, and I have nothing but good things to say about them. As far as heaters go, I'm currently rocking a Mr. Heater Big Buddy heater. I picked this up last year. I think it was under $200, and it's been great to us. Like I said, out to -20 in the shelter, it's kept everything warm. I think if I went any lower than that in that size shelter, I'd probably need to step up to 2 Big Buddy heaters. I don't believe that there's any propane heaters on the Canadian market right now, but if I'm wrong, let me know, guys, for sure. Something that you're also going to want to have in there is a propane hose. You can hook up 2 1-pound cylinders to the Big Buddy, but it's not going to last you very long. You might get 6 hours on high out of it. So I pack a regulator hose along with me and a 20-pound propane tank, and that'll last you overnight. I'd say close to 48 hours at least, with the Big Buddy on full. Next up is electronics. The only thing that I'm currently using right now is a underwater camera. I'd love to get a sounder, but I don't have the money to spend on it right now. So I picked this thing up last year. I think it was about $150 off of Amazon, and it's been great. I can't say too many bad things about it. It's definitely from China, made in China, and purchased off of Amazon. So I'd love to see a Canadian company come out with some underwater cameras or some sounders. As far as I know right now, there's nothing on the market. But this thing's been great to me, so yeah. Alright guys, that wraps it up for the EDC Ice Fishing Sled Dump. That's pretty well what I'm carrying with me on a daily basis. If I'm going to be doing an overnight trip, then I'll be adding some stuff to that, but that's pretty well what I got with me. My goal is by next year to have at least 50% more Canadian-made products in my sled. So I'm going to do the best that I can to do that, and as I'm ordering this stuff up and getting it shipped to my house, I'll be doing unboxing videos as well as reviews and getting that out to you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button, hit the subscribe, leave a comment down below. It really does help to boost up the channel's message of supporting Canadian-made products. Thanks for watching, and until next time, get your shit together, eh? Fucking sure is a beautiful day in Canada, hey bud?